must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Serikali ya Kenya inashabikia sana maendeleo ya miundombinu ya kijamii na kiuchumi kusaidia utekelezwaji wa ajenda kuu 4 na malengo yake ya mwaka 2030. Miradi mikubwa ya miundombinu inasaidia kufungua nchi kwa biashara na kuimarisha tija, haswa katika kilimo na viwanda na tasnia ya huduma ili kuimarisha nafasi za ajira. Sehemu ya miradi muhimu ya miundombinu ni pamoja na barabara inayojengwa ya kilomita 27 maarufu kama Nairobi Expressway inayounganisha uwanja wa ndege wa Jomo Kenyatta na Westlands hapa jijini Nairobi. Baada ya kukamilika, barabara hii itapunguza msongamano jijini Nairobi na hivyo kusaidia nchi kuokoa muda ambao wasafiri hupoteza kwenye msongamano wa magari kila siku. Mradi mwingine ni ukarabati wa bandari ya kisasa katika ziwa Victoria ili kuongeza uwezo wa utunzaji wa mizigo ya bandari na pia kuongeza biashara anuai kwenye ukanda huu. Hali kadhalika kuna upanuzi wa vituo vya huduma ya afya ili kuwezesha utoaji huduma ya afya kwa watu wote humu nchini, hii ikiwa ni moja ya ajenda kuu 4 za serikali ya Kenya. Ili kuharakisha harakati za watu na usafirishaji bidhaa, serikali inakusudia kukuza biashara kupitia upunguzaji wa nyakati za kusafiri na gharama.
Of Africa of the death of Tanzania's President John Pombe Magufuli, and on the show this afternoon we shall be looking at life and times of the late John Pombe Magufuli there. When was he born? When did he start with his politics? When did he become president? And a lot of other things that really happened during his presidency. Remember, President Magufuli was elected for his second term on October last year. He won his re-election there, and he's only served on his second term about 4 months there. And so right now his vice president is taking over, and according to the Tanzania's constitution, she is supposed to be sworn in 48 hours after the official announcement of the passing of the president there. So that is expected to happen between now and tomorrow, because remember that the death was announced midnight yesterday, I think, and midnight, no, earlier this morning. That's midnight, right? And so from that you count 48 hours, and so within that time then she's supposed to be sworn in as the president of the United Republic of Tanzania, and she will serve for the remaining time of the second term, which is all of it actually, because really, as I mentioned there, he was had been re-elected there as the president. So just a brief history there of John Pombe Magufuli. He was born in October 1959 in Chato, Geita province in northwestern Tanzania. Magufuli was Tanzania's 5th president since 2015, when he defeated Mr. Edward Lowassa in one of the toughest contests in the country. He is educated entirely in Tanzania. Magufuli was a science teacher who majored in mathematics and chemistry. He also worked as an industrial chemist at the Nyanza Cooperative Union Limited, which managed cotton ginneries in Mwanza, northern Tanzania. And he was first elected to parliament in 1995, where he served in the cabinet as a deputy minister of works from 1995 to 2000, minister of works from 2000 to 2006, minister of lands and human settlement from 2006 to 2008, and minister of livestock and fisheries from 2008 to 2010, and a minister of works for second time for from 2010 to 2015. And as a minister and later as president, he endeared himself to the public by fighting fighting for efficiency. His campaigns were based on taming corruption and saving public funds, as well as protecting local enterprises. And he took office in 2015, there, as I have mentioned. He imposed, when he took office, he imposed very tough measures to cut costs within the government, and he reduced his own foreign travel and downsized delegations traveling abroad. For example, he controversially cut down the delegation to the Commonwealth meeting in London to 4 from initial 50, and further, he diverted funds meant for diners of public celebrations for support to support the needy there in Tanzania. Magufuli also cut his own salary from 1.5 million Kenya shillings a month to 400,000 Kenya shillings a month, and halved the cabinet to 15 ministers compared to Jakaya Kikwete's 30. Now, several months after his election in 2015, a social media hashtag what would Magufuli do trended in the region as people in neighboring countries admired his apparent efficiency. So as we speak right now, Tanzania's President John Magufuli, as we all know, is dead. The country's vice president announced this after weeks of uncertainty and speculation over his health and whereabouts. And in a televised address to the nation late on Wednesday, Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan said that the 61-year-old president had died of a heart condition. And maybe just a recap in case you've not watched that. I don't know if the production has it. We could have that play and then we can continue with our conversation. I don't know if that is okay. All right. Okay, as they look for that. Of course, flags now are flying half-mast there in Tanzania, even in Kenya, and we shall get into that conversation. So let's hear what the Vice President, who is now said to be the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, said last night.
Kwa masikitiko makubwa nawajulisha kuwa leo tarehe 17 Machi mwaka huu 2021 majira ya saa 12 jioni tumempoteza kiongozi wetu shupavu, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Mheshimiwa Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, ambaye amefariki kwa maradhi ya moyo katika hospitali ya Mzena jijini Dar es Salaam alipokuwa akipatiwa matibabu. Mheshimiwa Rais Magufuli alilazwa tarehe 6 Machi mwaka huu katika taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete kwa tatizo la mfumo wa umeme, tatizo la moyo la mfumo wa umeme ambalo kitaalamu linajulikana kama chronic atrial fibrillation, ambalo alikuwa nalo kwa zaidi ya miaka 10. Aliruhusiwa tarehe 7 Machi mwaka huu na kuendelea na majukumu yake. Tarehe 14 Machi mwaka huu alijisikia vibaya na akakimbizwa hospitali ya Mzena, ambapo aliendelea na matibabu chini ya uangalizi wa madaktari na wauguzi wa taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete hadi umauti ulipomkuta. Mipango ya mazishi inafanywa na mtajulisho.
So that is the Vice President of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, who broke the news to Tanzanians and also the rest of the world about the death of President Pombe Magufuli there. And we know Pombe Magufuli was nicknamed the bulldozer, and because of his hard promises and stands when it comes to matters corruption and public performance. Matter of fact, I think we do have a video where President Magufuli, he used to travel across Tanzania and just show up without, in public where roads were being built or things were being done without even announcing, and he would fire you on spot for the people or the ministers or the people who had been tasked with some of this, responsibility. If he found that you were lagging behind in terms of what you're supposed to be doing, he did not take that very kindly. So he was very strong when it came to public service. So let's just see some of that. I think we do have that.
Aya, mpelekee maiki. Baba, hebu eleza baba, mna tatizo gani hapa?
Mimi naitwa Juma Abdalla Mpukuche. Kero yetu hapa sisi, soko letu bovu na choo kinachohudumu sokoni kimekuwa si kizuri, na kila saa tunafungiwa tu, na liko katika na ushuru tunalipa.
Na msimamizi wa soko ni nani?
Msimamizi wa soko nani mkurugenzi.
Mkurugenzi yuko hapa? Yuko hapa mkurugenzi? Kwa nini ushuru unakusanya na choo hujajenga na hela unakusanya za watu? Eleza ni kwa sababu gani mkurugenzi?
Mheshimiwa Rais, kweli tunasimamia soko lile. Kuna tatizo la choo pale sokoni. Tatizo linalotokana na...
Wewe huna choo kwako unakokaa?
Kipo.
Unakaa maeneo hapa?
Ndio mkurugenzi.
Iko wapi nyumba yako?
Nimepanga hapo.
Basi niwaambie wa sokoni wewe unakuja chooni kwako, ili kusudi ujifunze namna ya kujenga choo hapa. Nakupa wiki moja, choo wewe umeshakijenga. Si unakusanya fedha?
Ndio.
Mapato yako ni kiasi gani hapa?
Hapa mapato kwa mwaka ni bilioni 1.8.
Sasa bilioni 1.8 umeshindwa kujenga choo hapa, hata kama ni cha maji. Unajua watu wangu sijui wakoje. Kujenga choo kina cost kiasi gani?
Mheshimiwa Rais, choo tuko katika mkakati wa
mkakati mpaka utakakatika lini? Mpaka ukamalize hii kazi. Unasikia mkurugenzi, unaitwa nani?
Naitwa Dennis na kaimu.
Unakaimu? Nani mkurugenzi ambaye yuko hapa?
Mkurugenzi ameenda kwenye mkutano kwa ajili ya uchaguzi.
Maana yake ni sasa wewe si unakaimu?
Ndio.
Nataka hicho choo baada ya siku 7 kiwe kimekamilika.
Sawa mheshimiwa.
Na kisipokamilika mwambie huyo mkurugenzi andike barua ya kuacha kazi.
Sawa mheshimiwa.
Umenielewa?
Ndio mheshimiwa.
DC yuko wapi? Yuko hapa DC?
Yupo.
DC hayupo?
Yupo.
Njoo hapa DC. Wewe si ndio DC nimekupa hapa. Kwa nini watu wangu wanahangaika hata vyoo hawana?
Ni kweli, lakini wameanza kuchimba na maji yako karibu, na nimemwagiza mkurugenzi atekeleze.
Hili soko limeanza lini?
Hili soko lina muda mrefu, na
sasa muda mrefu wote watu hawaendi choo.
Choo kimekuwa
una nyumba hapa wewe DC?
Ndio mkuu.
Iko wapi?
Iko mtaa wa pili hapa.
Mtaa wa pili?
Ndio.
Kwa hiyo kwa siku hizi 7, mnanielewa ndugu zangu? Mtakuwa mnaenda kwa DC pamoja na kwa mkurugenzi kwenda kujisaidia. Kibiti oye! Kwa hiyo DC pamoja na mkurugenzi muwafungulia hawa watu wa sokoni, akibanwa aje hapo mpaka mtakapojua maana ya kujenga choo kwa ajili ya watu hawa. Haiwezekani nchi hii ikakosa choo, mnakusanya bilioni 1.8. Kibiti oye! Kibiti oye! Choo oye! Choo oye! Kwa hiyo ndani ya siku 7 akibanwa pale mtu, na mimi niko very serious, watakuwa wanakwenda kwa DC na kwa mkurugenzi. Wao wanawahi, mnawatarishia maji ya kutosha wakati lakini kama mna akili mtajenga usiku na mchana. Mnaweza mkajenga hata vyoo 5. Bilioni 1 zote hizo mnazokusanya kwa wananchi hao, halafu mnashindwa kujenga choo. Jamani, ninaomba basi mniruhusu, nimetoka kwenye msiba. Najua kero bado nyingi. Nitakuja siku moja tukae tuzungumze wote pamoja. Leo ninatoka kwenye msiba, niliona niwasalimu ndugu zangu. Sawa ndugu zangu? Nitakuja siku moja tukae tuzungumze vizuri. Haya, Mungu awabariki sana. Mheshimiwa DC, shughulikia swala la choo hapa. Mkurugenzi, toa pesa za choo. Tena msijenge choo kimoja, mjenge vyoo vya kutosha hapa. Alafu mnaofanya sokoni mko wapi? Mnafanya biashara hapa? Kuanzia leo mpaka kitakapojengwa choo hakuna kulipa ushuru hapo. Kibiti oye! Na nimuone mkurugenzi anakwenda kuwadai hawa pesa mpaka mtakapowajengea choo tena vizuri. ndio watalipa. Kuanzia leo mpaka choo kitakapokuja, hakuna kulipa nini? Ushuru. Kibiti oye! Nimemaliza. Mungu awabariki sana.
Thank you so much. That is the late Tanzania's President John Pombe Magufuli taking on the director of, I think, a public market there of that area, I think. And you know, he asked, I think he was on a Meet the People tour. He's saying he was from a funeral and he stopped by to just acknowledge the people who had gathered there to say hello to him. And then he asked one of the Tanzanians there, what is bothering them there. I think he wanted to get their ideas or their opinions or there are some of the things they wanted the government to fix, and they said we do not have a public toilet in this public market area, and so that did not augur well with the late President Magufuli there, and so he took the director there to task, and he gave him 7 days to ensure that a public washroom is constructed. Otherwise, they should resign if they fail to do that. That is just one of the many examples that you've seen President Magufuli take matters into his own hands when it came to a public service. He believed, you know, when you're elected by the people, then you serve the people. And so let's just see what else the Tanzanians will remember him for. He will be remembered for expanding free education in Tanzania. He will also be remembered for rural electrification. He will be remembered for investing in infrastructure projects such as railways and hydropower dams set to double electricity output, and the revival of the national airline there in Tanzania. Also, his government passed a raft of laws to increase Tanzania's stake in its mineral resources and demanded millions in back taxes from foreign mining companies. He's also hailed for his anti-corruption stance. I think I've mentioned there earlier during his time in office, but he was also accused of cracking down on dissent and curtailing certain freedoms there in Tanzania. I think we all know that. And as I said, he's also improved on infrastructure, building major highways there in Tanzania and a bus system in the commercial hub of Dar es Salaam. But his biggest downfall, I think, was his handling of coronavirus pandemic. And of course, as the vice president of the country yesterday came out to break that news, she said that he died from heart complications. But we know that the opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, there is the one who started questioning and demanding to know where President Pombe Magufuli was, because he had not been seen in public for quite a while, and he's the one who started saying that Magufuli was ailing from COVID-19, and according to him, Magufuli was in Kenya and later on was being taken to India and things like that. And so through that story gained momentum, and we saw especially a lot of Kenyans on Twitter really getting very active and started demanding there. And it has been a story that has been trending now for over a week. And so the government, came out and said, he's okay, he's working, he's okay, he's doing this, he'll come out soon. But little did we know that President Magufuli was actually battling for his life. Of course, the government has said he died from heart complications, but personally, I have my own reservations, but we shall go with the story there. And so, according to Tanzania's constitution, as I said, Ms. Hassan will be sworn in as the new president within 24 hours. Is it within 48 hours? And she'll serve the remainder of Mr. Magufuli's 5-year term, which he began last year after his re-election in October. Mr. Magufuli was last seen in public on 27th of February, but Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa insisted last weekend that the president was healthy and working very hard. He blamed the rumors of the president's ill health to hateful Tanzanians living abroad. And that will be the opposition leader who we know ran away from Tanzania after having been shot about 16 times. There in Tanzania, he was in Kenya. The main opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, who was shot 16 times in 2017 assassination attempt, and he's been in exile in Belgium. He described Magufuli's death as a poetic justice, insisting his sources said he had succumbed to COVID-19, and that is according to opposition leader there. So Of course, as I say there, former President Pombe Magufuli studied chemistry and maths at the University of Dar es Salaam. He worked as a chemistry and maths teacher, and he was first elected as a member of parliament in 1995, and he became a cabinet minister in 2000 and first elected as president in 2015. And so just before I continue, I'd like for us to look at some of the reaction from some leaders in the region and across the world in light of the death of President Pombe Magufuli. And I'll start with Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta, who had earlier on a press conference where he declared 7 days of national mourning in honor of the Tanzanian president who died Wednesday night. While addressing the nation at State House, Nairobi, Thursday morning, President Kenyatta also directed that all Kenyan and East African community flags in Kenya and across its diplomatic missions abroad will be flown at half-mast during the mourning period. Mr. Kenyatta, who is also the chairperson of the East African community, in his message of condolences eulogized Magufuli as a friend and a Pan-Africanist. And just to quote what President Kenyatta said, Magufuli was a champion of Pan-Africanism. I have lost a friend and an ally. Africa and the world have lost a leader who steered the EAC and the continent. On behalf of the government and the people of Kenya, I convey our sincere condolences to the First Lady of Tanzania, Janet Magufuli, added President Kenyatta. Yes, as we know right now, President Kenyatta is the chairperson of the East African community, and we know under Magufuli, Tanzania sort of was not very fully in the East African community. It was seen to be leaning more into the SADC side, and we've seen even when East Africa first recorded coronavirus, and it was now becoming an issue, or about a year ago, the health ministers in these countries were set to have a virtual meeting, and at that time Tanzania refused to be part of that meeting. Burundi also refused to be part of that meeting, and what we know is the former president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, also died from COVID-19. Of course, the government did not come out to confirm those claims, but we know at that time when he died, the wife was actually in Kenya here receiving treatment for COVID-19. So after the husband died, she had to go back to Burundi, and yeah, we'll just go with the story the Tanzanian government has put out that Magufuli has died from heart complications there. And this is what the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya said, William Ruto. He said, condolence message to the family of the late President, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania. And he gave a whole long written condolences, which I think was very beautiful. And the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, also sent his condolences to the family of President John Pombe Magufuli and the people of Tanzania. And in part, his message read, "It is with deep sadness that I have learned of the passing of my friend, President John Pombe Magufuli of the United Republic of Tanzania. President Magufuli and his family have been close friends for a long period of time. He has been by my side at my most difficult and painful moments. Over the years, we have worked together, especially in the areas of connecting Eastern Africa by way of infrastructure. To the First Lady, Mama Janet Magufuli, our thoughts and prayers are with you as a family. We thank you for the occasions you welcomed us at your home, and we stand with you at this hour of grief and sorrow and your family." And then he continued to say, to the people of the United Republic of Tanzania and to the party of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Chama cha Mapinduzi, we mourn with you and join you in celebrating the extraordinary life and career of President Magufuli. And he ended by saying the tradition of peaceful and orderly transfer of power, brotherhood, and constitutionalism needs to hold in Tanzania now more than ever in the interest of the peaceful and friendly people of Tanzania, the East African community, and the continent of Africa. That was the message by opposition leader here in Kenya, Raila Odinga. And from the United States government expressed its condolences to Tanzanians following the passing of President John Pombe Magufuli. In a State Department statement, the U.S. says it remains committed to continuing to support Tanzanians as they advocate for respect for human rights while combating the COVID-19 pandemic. you're sending a message of condolences, but at the same time giving a low jab there. And this is what I found to be quite interesting with the U.S. messaging. They said the brief statement that was issued by Department spokesperson Ned Price expresses Washington's hope that Tanzania can move forward on a democratic and prosperous path. So you're saying this hindrance to democracy is gone, so now Tanzania can move forward on a democratic and prosperous path. Quite interesting messaging there from the United States. And of course, World Health Organization Director Gabriel Jesus Adhanom, Dr. Tedros there, he tweeted and he said, deepest condolences to the people and government of Tanzania on the passing of President John Magufuli. Our thoughts are with his family as well as the nation at this difficult time. And Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa said, my deepest condolences to the family of His Excellency President John Magufuli and the people of Tanzania. Africa mourns with you. May his soul rest in peace. Let me tell you, when I heard this news earlier today, I know the Vice President of Tanzania announced it last night. I was checked out of social media and I was not watching TV. And so I woke up in the morning, didn't bother to go to social media, prepared camp. So on my way to work, I learned of this news. I was shocked until I came to the office. And even just while preparing this, it's still so unbelievable because, you know, the rumors have been swirling. And at the back of my mind, I was just hoping and praying that, Magufuli, for whatever it is, because, the government of Tanzania was not very forthright with what was really happening there to their president. And so there was a lot of speculations, a lot of rumors, and a lot of things were being said. So you really did not know what to believe because the government of Tanzania had refused to really be straightforward and tell us that the president was sick and he's being treated for this and that. So people didn't really know, except from what we've been seeing trending on social media. And as I said, the Kenyans have been leading this the questioning and asking and wanting to know of the whereabouts of now late President Pombe Magufuli. So hearing this news was quite a shocker to me. Even just preparing this, reading the obituary now of Pombe Magufuli, I think is still a shock. I think it was quite unexpected. We sort of guessed that he was sick, but we were hoping that he will come back. And once he comes back, we tell him now, can you be a responsible leader and tell your people to wear the mask, social distance, wash your hands, and do the right thing so that you protect yourself from, the COVID-19, because there were rumors that he was suffering from COVID-19. But as I said, the government came there and given a different story as to what the cause of his death was. So we shall just respect that and go with that for now. Okay, the guy just died, so we want to be very respectful in how we mourn President Pombe Magufuli. Of course, he's done so much for Tanzania, and as I mentioned there, Magufuli took very controversial stance, and he did not. He really, if he believed this is what he wanted to do or this is what he believed, he did not care what that stand will cost him. He went with his conviction. We remember in 2018 when Tanzania's president said he preferred Chinese to Western aid as it comes with fewer conditions. Mr. Magufuli was under intense pressure from Western nations over his controversial policies. On the 15th November 2018, Denmark said it had suspended about $9.8 million in aid because of unacceptable homophobic comments by a Tanzanian politician. And in 2017, Tanzania's President John Magufuli was condemned for comments that girls who give birth should not be allowed to return to school. An online petition was set up and a Pan-African women's organization is mobilizing to get the president to apologize and reverse his comments, which, by the way, he never did, and I differed with him on this one. And Mr. Magufuli warned schoolgirls at a rally that after getting pregnant, you are done. A law passed in 2002 allows for the expulsion of pregnant schoolgirls. Now, the law says the girls can be expelled and excluded from school for offenses against morality and wedlock. He said that men who impregnate schoolgirls should be imprisoned for 30 years and put the energy they used to impregnate the girls into farming while in jail. such a pedestal thinking. You know, the only petition, the online petition say that president's support for the expulsion law would end the education of many girls and propagate more discrimination. And I remember when this happened, I think I was still on this platform, and I spoke against it, because one wrong cannot solve the other wrong. You can't make a right, but putting two wrongs together. These girls already messed up, and maybe by them continuing with their education, they might break that cycle of poverty. They might be able to support their children in future. But if you refuse them to go back to school, you're not solving the problem. I agree, sometimes it can be a challenge, but still, perhaps there are better mechanisms of dealing with that. And so President Magufuli, he saw the money that was coming from the European Union in support of the girls as secondary education in Tanzania being cut. But as I said there, President Magufuli did not care. And of course, his attitude towards the opposition there in Tanzania also has been wanting. And Tanzania's exiled opposition leader Tundu Lissu claims the Tanzania government is still lying about the death of President John Pombe Magufuli, even after the vice president came out yesterday and told us that what had happened. So this morning I saw him in the leading television stations here in Kenya on Zoom, of course, from where he is in Belgium. And according to Tanzania's vice president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, the 61-year-old Magufuli died from heart attack Wednesday evening. However, speaking to KTN News, Lissu has insisted that President Magufuli succumbed to COVID-19 complications and did not die on Wednesday as announced by the vice president. So Tundu Lissu has continued, attacking even that statement that was issued by Tanzania's vice president, and is saying, no. This guy did not die on Wednesday. This guy has been dead. And he's been making these claims even before that official announcement yesterday. And so he's calling BS this statement that was issued by the vice president of the United Republic of Tanzania, and is saying no, he did not die at 6 p.m. Pombe Magufuli has been dead. But of course, there's no way of verifying these claims being made here by Tanzania's opposition leader. So I'll just quote what he said. Even now in his death, his government continues to lie. Magufuli died of corona. Secondly, Magufuli did not die this evening. I had information from same sources that told me he was gravely ill. I have information Magufuli has been dead. So why would the government of Tanzania come out now and lie about when he even died? And Lissu, who is in exile in Belgium, also added that he was not surprised by the sad news. Lissu was the first to publicly question the whereabouts and health of the Tanzanian head of state after he disappeared from the limelight in late February. He, at the time, claimed Magufuli had been flown to Nairobi Hospital and later to India for treatment. So even in his death, still shrouded by allegations there from the opposition. So we remember, I don't know if that video is there, I'm not sure, when Tanzania refused, some investor from China was supposed to be investing in the Bagamoyo port project, and Tanzania's government issued an ultimatum, and he said the $10 billion Bagamoyo port project, he told the Chinese, you either accept our conditions and work with our terms, or you just leave the contract. Because I remember that video that really circulated online, and I really loved President Magufuli for taking certain stands, especially when it comes to the people from outside of Africa. He was very strong about this, and he said, these conditions that you have given us, only a mad person would accept. And the Chinese investors has now been offered a 33-year lease instead of the 99-year one he was asking for. To the investor has been informed that there will be no tax holiday, and they will be subjected to all taxes designed by the Tanzanian Revenue Authority. In other words, if you're coming to invest in this country, you have to follow and abide by the rules of this country. You'll not come here and create your own rules and ways of operations. Are we clear? That's what Magufuli told that guy, despite of the amount of money who's coming to inject into the Tanzania's economy there. And the third point was that he will not have special status, and they will be required to pay the market rate for the water and electricity like any other investor, which makes a lot of sense. And then the fourth condition that the Tanzania government gave him, they could not start and run any other business they deemed necessary within the port without government's approval, and were open to scrutiny and regulation by relevant agencies in line with law like any other investor in Tanzania. Also, point number 5, condition that was given by President John Pombe Magufuli to the Chinese investor who was coming to build the port of Bagamoyo, that they were informed that the government of Tanzania was free to develop other ports to be in direct competition with Bagamoyo. And the Bagamoyo port development project was initiated late in the tenure of retired President Jakaya Kikwete, but President John Magufuli ordered an immediate suspension of the project in January 2016, saying the conditions set by the investor were tantamount to selling Tanzania to China. And I think when we saw that video circulating in social media, a lot of people really lauded the audacity President John Pombe Magufuli had to tell off the Chinese investors who seems to be sometimes they invest, and China really has invested in Africa, but the conditions they come in, they really favor, a lot of times favor them. But Magufuli said, no. First of all, you cannot have our port for 99 years. That is unacceptable. We're going to bring it to 33. So I guess the guy had to agree. So that is what happened. And I think with that, Tanzanians really grew a lot. He's loved in Tanzania. He's loved and loathed in equal measure. There are those who really love his policies and his way of leadership, and there are those who really do not like, especially when it comes to the infringement of certain very important principles of freedoms there in Tanzania. The freedom of media, for example, right now in Tanzania, nobody could even make any announcement in the Tanzanian media about coronavirus at all. And during the elections last year in October, even foreign media houses, a lot of them were refused license there to cover the elections. And if you were to cover the elections, then a police officer or a government official had to be with you and would be the one to decide where you're going to cover and what kind of news you're going to fetch. And so we've seen him remove all the safeguards of what you would call democracy there in Tanzania. And so that we saw, him making him attract a lot of criticism. That attracted a lot of criticism from across the world. So that is that. We thank you so much for watching. And so that is that we shall continue covering this story even as we get the latest from the government of Tanzania. They will let us know the preparations when maybe he'll be buried. I'm sure those are things that they are working on. But we continue to send our condolences to the family of the late President John Pombe Magufuli and to the people of Tanzania during these very, very difficult times. As I said there, President John Pombe Magufuli was quite loved by his people, and also there are others who just didn't feel he was the right fit there for Tanzania, but that is the nature of politics. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Mugutu. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye for now. The government of Kenya is keen on the development of social economic infrastructure to support the realization of the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The ambitious infrastructure projects are aimed at opening up the country for business and bolster productivity, particularly in the agricultural, manufacturing and the service industry, as this would bolster employment opportunities. Part of these critical infrastructure projects include the ongoing 27-kilometer expressway linking Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Nairobi's Westlands. Upon completion, the expressway will exponentially reduce travel times within Nairobi and thus help the country save man-hours, which is being lost in the traffic jams on a daily basis. The Lake Victoria Port Modernization Project to increase cargo handling capacity of the port and to increase Kenya's bilateral and multilateral trading within the region. The expansion of healthcare facilities to facilitate fruition of the country's universal healthcare coverage under the Big Four agenda. By speeding up movement of people and goods, the government is aiming to promote trading through reduction of travel times and costs.